Hey, my name is Arminda and welcome to the show. I'm really excited to be back on camera. I've got something super specific that I want to talk about today. Not that I don't always have something super specific to discuss, but today is the first time that it's in follow-up to something that I wrote. So for those of you that are on my mailing list, you will have read the article that I published yesterday on self-judgment. For those of you who are not yet on my mailing list, this would be a great opportunity for you to sign up, and you get a weekly article from me on various topics. But the topic yesterday was specifically about self-judgment. Let's dive a little bit deeper into that topic, because I got some really interesting and wonderful feedback from so many of you, and I really appreciate you reading and sharing with me some of your own struggles and some of your own experiences with respect to self-judgment. So the first thing that I want to share with you, and as a reminder for those of you who have read the article, and as new information for those of you who have not, judgment, whether it's of ourselves or of anyone or anything, situation or otherwise, can only ever create separation, distance. We create distance from the very thing that we are judging as being wrong, bad, inappropriate, unnecessary, not what we would do, therefore it makes it wrong. And so anytime we are judging that, we are creating distance. And how that applies to ourselves is really, really fascinating. And that was the subject of yesterday's article, is all about self-judgment and really how that can, if we're not careful, that can turn into self-loathing. But essentially what's happening when we are judging ourselves and we're piling on the judgments, and I know I'm not alone in this. This is so common. It is so normal. So if you have been in the habit of judging yourself, know that you're totally normal. Now, let's turn that around. I don't want to encourage you or suggest that it's okay to continue doing that, because it's not a good idea. But what's interesting is to know kind of logically what's happening when you are judging yourself. And what's happening is you're creating a deficit inside of you, an internal deficit, a gap, a big hole that you don't even want to be with yourself. You don't even want to be around yourself, so that's where the self-loathing starts to kind of creep in around the corners when you are piling judgment after judgment after judgment on yourself. Now, this also applies to other people and situations. We actually can resent other people and we distance ourselves from them. We don't want to associate or affiliate with those people. We start to have regrets about friendships or any kind of relationship that might be associated with someone against whom we have really severe judgments. This happens in the political scene. It happens in politics at work. It happens in the dynamics of our families. So lots of playgrounds, moms judging other moms. It happens all over the place. When you judge someone else, distance, separation. Okay, you don't want to be affiliated with that person because of the judgment that you're holding against them. So for yourself, again, let's bring this back into you and what this means when you are judging you. That's a gap that I want you to bridge as soon as possible. And the only way to bridge that gap, the only way to make up for the deficit that you are creating through those self-judgments is through this beautiful opportunity called self-forgiveness. And you have that ability, you have the tools that you need, you have the capability inside of you to forgive yourself for all of those judgments. It's a really beautiful process that I go through with myself, because only when I stop the judgments and forgive myself can I move forward into the truth of my life, of my situation. So let's look at that with respect to someone else. If you've judged someone else, rightly or wrongly, okay, the judgment exists, you've created some distance and separation, you'll know from personal past experience that the only way to bridge that and to repair that relationship is for forgiveness to happen, to say, okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I misjudged you. Have you ever found yourself in that kind of circumstance before? I'm sorry, I misjudged you. And then you can start the repair process and start saying, because here's the truth. Here's what really happened. And once you have enough information, you start to see, wow, I really misjudged that situation or that person. And then you can kind of bring it back together again. Well, the same thing is true inside of you. We are so quick to judge ourselves. We're so hard on ourselves. We're so quick to jump to those conclusions of, oh, I'm such a terrible person, or I'm such a bad mom, or I should have done it differently. If I'd done it differently, then we would have had a different outcome, and this is all my fault. And you see, the judgments, they just pile up and pile up. So the only way to fill in the gap that you're creating through those judgments is to forgive yourself, is to slow all that down. And I like to put my hand over my heart, helps me center again, get back to my core, back to my loving, and really just kind of connect with myself. And I close my eyes and I say, oh, and sometimes this is really hard to say it, but I do. I say it out loud. I forgive myself. I forgive myself for misjudging myself as being wrong. I forgive myself for having misjudged myself as being less than perfect. Or whatever the judgment is, turn that around into a forgiveness. And then that creates the space for you to see the truth. Just like in an external situation where it's really easy to see, okay, well, the truth of the situation, the truth of the matter is, do that with you. Okay, the truth is I'm doing the best I can with what I've got right now. The truth is I didn't really screw that up because I was operating with all the information that I had, and based on all that information, I really made the best decision that I could at the time. In hindsight, now I have more information now, so if I could go back, that's one thing, but I can't go back. At the time, I really did the best that I could with what I had. So in that way, we can go through each of the judgments, turn them around and forgive, and then speak the truth. Speak it. Speak the truth out loud so you hear it, because that is the most powerful part. Is when you speak that truth to yourself about yourself, magic happens. Trust me on this one. Play with it. Don't trust me. Go test it for yourself and let me know how you feel about it. And the truth is that oftentimes when we're in judgment of ourselves, it's because we're maybe in a new situation or a new circumstance. And it doesn't mean that it's a destination. I've done a video about that as well. It just means we're in a new situation. So don't be so hard on yourself. I'm speaking to me as well as to you. Remember that when you start feeling crappy or slowed down or really exhausted because of all of these judgments, it's a really beautiful opportunity and space for you to just pull the plug on the judgments, flip them around and say, wow, I'm so sorry. So sorry, because I'm the only one that I got. It's just me. I'm here being as human as I can. And sometimes humans, we say things or we do things that we wish we hadn't. And I'm sorry about that. The truth is, I'm pretty awesome. And so are you. So turn those judgments into the truth of what actually is. And I can't wait to hear how that goes for you. Let me know what thoughts, comments, feedback, what additional discussions would be useful for you to have in this format. I so look forward to connecting with you, coach at armindalindsay.com.